I'm sure lots of people ask you this question, but if I was beginning a garden, what advice would you give me this spring?
Don't plan for immediate gratification. A garden will take 5, perhaps even 10 years to mature. And you're going to want to work on the base being the soil. Here in southern Indiana, we're blessed with clay, and even they call that topsoil, I understand. So you're going to need to amend the soil. My first year would probably be with pots and annuals, and amend that the
and
dirt
work the actual
and
soil.
work the soil,
So that the next year you
right,
can plant.
and then during that summer I would be planting things. One of my favorites is coneflowers, because they feed the birds in the wintertime. They grow easily. Once they're there, they're there.
And they self-seed.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes you get more of them.
Right.
And they've got a taproot.
Yes.
Which goes right down deep into the clay to where the moisture is.
Right.
So they don't seem to suffer as much
Right.
with the drought.
That's right. Drought resistance is something we've tried to work with, using a lot of grasses. The other thing for the beginning gardener is not to overplant. Spread things out and let them mature. Let your plants mature, and so it takes a while for this to happen. Yeah. And sometimes you have to be very ruthless in your pruning. So
so things don't
that's
get too big.
Yeah, that's one of the toughest things to learn, I think.
It's very hard to cut back a plant that you've been nurturing.
Right, it sure is.
Now tell me about, you would plant annuals as well as perennials the first year to give you a little bit of color?
We have usually used annuals in pots, so we can move them around. Geraniums and such as that. Although there are some other annuals you can put in the ground.
Yes,
yeah.
And they give you color then the whole growing season, but they don't come back the following year.
Something we have tried to do is to plant things something will always be in bloom.
Yes, a wonderful succession of bloom across the season. That's really the exciting thing about gardening, isn't it?
We have tried, in the springtime, we have irises, and luckily the deer don't eat irises. And
hallelujah!
Right.
We're all looking for those deer-resistant things.
Daylilies, on the other hand, are like going to a salad bar, and so that has been always moved to the backyard. We have lots of hostas.
The deer like hostas.
They do, but we have a good fence back there, and and hostas are very interesting because they do bloom throughout the whole season, spring, summer, and into the fall, and different varieties will always give you a flower.
And they're good, and peonies too are nice spring flowers.
Yes,
and they last 100 years.
You're right, and
the deer don't eat them.
Yeah, or in Indiana we call them pineys. Do you know?
That's right. The pronunciation is different.
But that's true, and the deer don't like them. So there's probably nothing that's deer-proof. There's deer resistance.
Right.
And
Russian sage is another thing that is deer resistant.
Right.
And any salvia.
They say anything with sort of a fuzzy leaf, but
like lamb's ears.
Yeah, but
right. Well, there's lots of options, but if you are planning to start a spring garden, talk to people like Tom. Talk to gardeners whose gardens are full of flowers, and maybe they can give you some advice so that you can have a succession of bloom all through the spring and the summer.
It's fun.